This week on SV Lynx. Welcome to this week's SV Lynx video. As you can see, we're sitting in our shipping container because we're going to check in on our new Vatrer battery and see how it's going.
Right, we got it swapped in and disconnected all of our own batteries, and we just wanted to give it a test and see how it's going. It's been running all of our lighting and our power tools and everything, and it's doing a fine job. And here, let's take a look and I'll show you where it's at right now. It's got a 100% charge now, so it's been handling everything and charging well. The BMS has been keeping it from overcharging, and so it's working and performing perfectly, just as good as the batteries that we built ourselves, so we're quite happy with it at this point. All right, now that we've showed you that, we're going to get on to boat work because we've got plenty of good stuff to get done this week, and we'll show you what we accomplished. And even though we were hit by the biggest rainstorm of the season, hopefully, fingers crossed, but we think so, and hopefully from here on out it's going to be good weather. But let's get on and show you what we did. Okay, we're getting started with some material that we're going to seal up these three holes. There's one here, one you can't see over there right now. These were left over because our forms were blocking us from doing the rain gutter while it was on all the forms over there. So we have to finish these off, and that begins with putting these core material. And this is just to give it some body so that we can glass around this later. And we'll do that after this is already set up and it's hardened so that it'll hold the form while we glass our actual fiberglass, which gives it the real strength. All I just discovered is it's going to take a lot more epoxy to make that stick. So Brian's going to mix me up a bunch more. It's absorbing into the material, which is sort of what it's meant to do, but we guessed wrong on how much epoxy that will take. And this is why we only did one. All right, so what we did instead, because it was sagging and falling right off from gravity, so we're just trying to create the trough through there and let this stuff harden up, and it'll become hard like that one. Then we can glass this, and it doesn't even matter if there's any gaps. We're just trying to get something to hold the shape for the glass to wrap around, because it's the glass that is all the strength there. This is just to create the form, and it's a stiffer material, so if we used glass first here, it would cause all kinds of sagging, but this is a stiffer stuff, so it'll hold that straight line through there. And when that hardens up, we can glass it. Okay, now we just have to do that 2 more times. More stuff! We also got this today. And what this is, let's open it up. These are our bezel-less computer monitors. And there's going to be 2 of these. And we wanted them to have no bezel on there, so they sit right next to each other and create one longer dual monitor system. And why do we need monitors now?
We need monitors because we got to cut the holes for them in the nav station. We want to make sure that we know what they fit.
Yeah. So they're going to be at an angle like this. And so there's a board I showed you in, I think, last week's video, if not the one before. That's a panel that goes across the nav station, and this has to fit within the length of that. And so we can, if we need to, we can make it longer, but we need to know on there. So we needed to have these monitors now. Not that we're going to mount them, we're just going to use them to get this hole, and we'll put them away until much later. So we're gluing on the backs of the bench right now. We've already stuck those on. And we made these little angled pieces like this. And what we're doing is we're sloping this back right up against the wall smoothly. And then we're going to put a little cap piece on the end here. So we've got a little corner piece here, and then again that sloped back piece that goes along there. This transition this back onto here rather than a harsh edge on there. And then we're going to be putting a little cove along the bottom edge in a moment. Only we've got a little long here, so I'm going to cut that off. Okay, put that back on. Best laid plans every once in a while. Something like that happens. All right, so we can glue this piece on here now. That just gives us a little rounded corner to tab across. And we have one little piece here we have to put on.
Just put it on that wall.
Yeah, you can just smear that there. That's a good idea. Okay. We'll finish that one off. All right, we got one last thing to do here. We don't need these bricks. They were just in case bricks. We still may need them, but we'll set them aside. We're going to do this.
Across the bottom.
And up that corner too. But do the bottom wall first, it's more important. So we're going to go up that corner now, over there. So 500 was the right amount.
Flat one?
I have one already, yeah, that one. And I'll clean up over here. Got quite a bit to clean up here. I think I'll that far in. Where did I stop? All right, so the back's on, and got a little cove along the bottom so that we can tab that little section. We'll just put a little thin tab here, and we're going to tab across this whole piece here. That'll seal this because this is just straight foam right there. So we'll put a tab across the whole top there, a tab down there, tab on the corner, and we still have to put a little tab over the edges of this to seal it as well. But that bench is really coming along. I'd sit down on it and show you how cool that is, but I'd get epoxy all over me. Okay, well, we've got as far with this as we want to go today. So the backs are on, and the good news is we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces glued on, and we've got 1, 2, 3 tabs. That puts us ahead of the count that we're always trying to get each day, but we're not done. We also did the work we did up on the rain catchment system on the bow, and we're going to do a little bit more gluing up at the cupboard up here. So our frame for our cupboard is all ready to go, so we're going to glue this little frame in. I was looking at pictures from another 1520 that's being built, and they did not put a toe kick here, and they put a tube coming up in the corner here to be a vent from the engine compartment, and it would vent into here. That keep water from getting into the tube and have a place for this to vent sort of outside. That's a good idea, but because of our toe kick, I don't want to bring a tube up through there. So instead, we'll probably vent inside this cupboard here, and all it is just a place for us to vent smoke or anything like that be in the engine compartment. And there's nothing in here that would be a problem with that if that ever happened. So it can just vent into here, and it'll be able to get out through the edges of the cupboard and stuff on there. Now if we really wanted to, I could put a grate in here so that smoke could come out into here, but I don't think it's going to be necessary to do that. But I always have that option, but that way I don't have to put a tube through the floor here, because I really want to keep this toe kick area so when we're standing here at the sink and stuff, we can get a little closer to it, because the sink has to be back, you know, here, to fit down into here, so you've got a little gap between you and the sink. So you're really going to want to be able to stand, a little closer. So this toe kick is important. But that's one of the things about building one of these boats, is that they're definitely semi-custom, if you will. Ours is even more custom in the sense that I helped design the initial model, so I got a lot of input on different things. Like this entire area here was not here before I put it in. But then there's also the customizing as you go, and since you're building it yourself, you can do whatever you want. Like there's no plan calls for cupboard space right here. This is just a solid piece, but why waste it? We can put a couple shelves in here if we want, and have room for some small things to fit in there. Storage is always useful, so I just don't want to waste it. So a couple cupboard doors, and now we've used it. I got plans for the other side, different than that, but for this side. But it's kind of fun to be able to customize, little bits and pieces as you go. And that's one of the benefits you get when you build a boat yourself, because you can modify. As long as it's not a structural change, you're good to go. So, obviously, as I mentioned, I added this flat area for barbecues and stuff up here to the design. But even after that, now I'm re-customizing even what I designed initially into these curved corners, this cupboard. We lengthened it. We changed how far this went over here. We just changed a whole bunch of stuff here. And that's one of the fun of building yourself is. That's the most enjoyable part of building, is the slight customizations that you get to do as you work on it. And so this area is coming out really nicely. I really like what we did with it. And we're going to do, I don't have any gloves either. In fact, you're gloved. Have a seat. You do it. The bottom and the sides. All right, all that's said. We already have the doors, so a couple of hinges there, and we'll probably have to put a little center post in eventually, but it's coming along. It's a morning ritual, pulling peel ply. All right, that seat back is now part of the boat. We haven't tabbed the top yet, but we'll get to that. In our goal to get this whole roof done, first thing we're going to do now is we just prepped it all up there, and we jacked it up a little bit so we can get a little epoxy in. And we're just going to glue it down. Now, obviously, that's just a start. We're also going to cove it and tab it and all that good stuff. But right now, we're just going to tack it down all the way here. Get this part down. And as soon as that's done, we're going to tack down the cabin top to the top of the window all the way around. So that's the first stage, is just getting it all tacked in. And then we'll start with the more serious work of coving and tabbing and all that good stuff. So that was about the right amount of epoxy, so it's all glued from both, so we can see the epoxy on both sides there, so that's good. And then once this is set up, we'll tab this one. Well, as you can see, we've been starting to glue in the top down to the windows. We're going to go all the way around here. There's a little dip right here that we cut out to get the roof to set down when we did the placement of it, because the rain gutter kind of impacts it just a little bit. But we've cut pieces in that will fit that now, and so we'll seal that back up again in both corners as we go. But first we're going to get the glue down all the way around, then we'll come back and put in those little pieces that fix that area there. And tomorrow it's going to rain, but we're thinking about coming in anyway, and we're going to work in here and tab all the way around the outside of this, and probably the arch of bulkhead number 6, which you can't see right now, but the one we just glued a few minutes ago. So that's all indoors, so if it's it's supposed to be light rain tomorrow, so we can come in here and do a little work. Then Thursday and Friday is going to be where the heavy rain hits, so we probably won't work those 2 days. One more side to go. Gotta do this section and then come back and do those little corners that we gotta fix. Attached our roof down to the windows everywhere now, so still not, I mean, that's going to be very strong with this much epoxy, but still I'll be happier when we get the tabbing done on it, and that way, hey, big winds come up, this is never leaving again. I would have to pick the whole boat up at that point. So good to go. And it's time for us to get the tabbing done on this new slope portion that we did there. So I've got a little bit of filling to do first right here. Not too much. There's some dots here in the foam that I just need to fill a little bit. Didn't require so much strength to hold this back here. The glue would have been enough, but because we had cut the slope, this is exposed foam, so by glassing over the top of the whole thing, we sealed that foam and added strength of tying this all together with a tab anyway, but it only required one tab for that, so that's what we did. We just went through the biggest rainstorm of the season, probably. Dropped about 3 inches over the last 2 days. We had the whole boat covered, and we had one little spot that the water managed to get in. So there's one compartment that had some water in it. We're siphoning that out right now. It's no big deal though. The rest of the boat down the holes. There are a couple damp spots, but no water. And so just that one big load of probably 40 gallons of water in that one compartment, but it's going out right now. And we thought it was going to rain today too, but the weather forecast now shows no rain today. So Brian and I made a quick call to come in and work because it may still be a little cloudy and stuff, but we're not going to get any rain. And it's all dry inside of here, and the camera shut off. Where was I? So what we're going to do right now is we're going to tab all the way around the entire inside of the rooftop here and get this tab down and attached. So I'm now cutting all of the fiberglass we need over here, and get that all prepped and stuff. Once the fiberglass is ready to go, I do have a little bit of sanding I've got to do, but not much. So we'll get this figured out and get to it. To keep ourselves straight, what we have been doing is obviously we measure it, but then we write on our 2 pieces of fiberglass what the measurement is for that one. And as we took the measurement, we wrote whatever the measurement was right on the wall so that we can match it up later to that and not have to wonder what goes with what. That's 49. I need a 40, another 49. Okay. One of our commenters was asking how much of the boat is left inside the container that we still have to put on, and so I decided to show you. Just these little pieces right here, those are the walls in the head, and then back here there's just these few pieces on this side and those few pieces over there in the corner. Everything over here is our windows, for example, acrylics and stuff inside the plastic there. But most of the green you see here, which is very little, is all that's left of big pieces. But that's not actually why I'm in the container right now. I just thought I'd do that while I was here. This is our new battery from Vatrer, and it's time for me to start doing some testing with this, make sure that it's up to our needs. And so I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get the software to hook up to it. So that's how it's packaged in here. It came very nicely packaged on there. But I need to get it turned on, so I'm going to lift it out of here and turn it on, and then I'll fire up the software and see what it looks like. Oh, on off, that's pretty clear. And there's a nice bright indicator light there when it's on. So now I'm going to try and hook up to the Bluetooth through the app and see what I can get as far as a connection to it. So I've already downloaded the software off of the Play Store for Android, and it popped up instantly on the software. So remaining capacity is 48%. Balance is off right now. That's okay because we're not charging right this minute. It's a 52.6 volt battery. Nothing is being drawn out of it right now. Well, that's all pretty clear. So the first thing we're going to do now is hook this up to our solar system and let this start charging, and then we'll recheck this again in a day or two and see where we're at. Now, these are the batteries we built ourselves, and they've been working great. But right now I only have them hooked up to 2 of them because I've got some of the others at home, because I've been doing an upgrade to them to get them to a higher amperage for how much they can output, because I had to change out the BMS. So I've been working on those, but these 2 were upgraded already, so I rehooked them back up again. But I'm going to disconnect these, and we're going to hook up just the Vatrer battery here right now, and we're going to run off that for a few days and see how it goes, and then we'll eventually hook it and these 2 together in the system so that we can test how the charging works with 2 different batteries, because that can be an issue sometimes. And it's not the Vatrer battery's fault in there, it's just that we're mixing 2 types of batteries. So I want to kind of test and see how well the Victron equipment handles these 2 separate batteries and keeping them charged, and which one of them's getting used more than the other, and those kinds of things. But for now, we're just going to hook up to this Vatrer power so we can give it a fair test, so that it's only by itself, not being messed up by anything else. The first thing I got to do is shut down all of our solar so that we're not sending power in here while I'm doing this. So we've got circuit breakers up here, so there they all are off. And then we're not running anything right now, so what I'm going to do now is just disconnect our batteries. And the easiest way to do that is to use the off switch on these. So we have an external off, so we just turn them both off at once there. And now these terminals don't have any power to them. Now what we want to see is the readout from this battery, which is... All right, well, looks like the Vatrer is working now. Charge and discharge are on. And then we can look at each individual cell and see what its voltage is right now. And looks like we got a high and low charging there for balancing. Hello?
Hi, your FedEx delivery is here.
Okay,
If you could do an unboxing video or something.
I will. I'll come home at lunch in a few minutes and we'll take a look at that. All right, thanks, hon.
Bye.
That was the Admiral. We have a cool delivery, so we'll come home at lunch and take a look at that. Success so far? Looks like we got something. A little pallet of stuff. Fortunately, the Admiral is still here. And we're going to take a look and see what we got. All right, well, let's start with the little one. That is probably a caliper, I'm guessing. And there'd be two of those. The calipers are going to be used for us to put the brakes on to the drive shaft, prop shaft, and stop it. And so that's what those are for. And looks like we got I don't know, what is this, a turkey? You thought the same thing. They sent us a turkey. It's a heavy turkey.
Very heavy turkey.
What kind of a heavy turkey is that? Wow. A couple of shiny things. Wow. I think those are rotors.
They look like rotors.
And that's what these calipers go on to stop the drive shaft. Okay, well, that's something else. Put these aside. And now we'll go for the big one. Wow. All right, lift that out. This is our propeller. So,
Gorgeous.
this is called the auto prop. And what's really cool about this thing is how those, as you can see, Brian is rotating those around because they can flip around to the other direction so that it doesn't matter whether you need to go in forward or reverse, or if you need to do regen, then it'll flip around. But it also automatically angles the pitch of the prop depending on the RPM. So therefore, when we're using our electric motor, it's going to pitch it much less, and when we're using our diesel at a higher RPM, it's going to pitch it much more. So this will automatically adjust depending on which electric motor or diesel that we're using at the time. And like I say, it also works for regen and reverse and all that kind of stuff. So put that back. Okay, we're definitely missing something. All right, so mystery solved. The SD drives are attached already to the rotors, so that's what these are right here. This is the SD drive right here, and it was already pre-attached to the rotor that we're going to use for the brake. So that's why I didn't see it separately. It's already attached and ready to go, so we just bolt this onto our drivetrain, and we get both the Sigma drive and we get the rotor. before, but yeah, it's kind of good that Brian and I are long-time rock climbers because you know, he's used to working on the edge of the cliffs, and right now we're leaning over the down into the bilge here to work the ceiling parts up here. So we take a little care there, but no big deal. All done, finished it. So we have it go all the way around, and the seam came out very nice on here. It's a very even amount, so this matched very well, and got all the way around here. Even got to the winch handling area here, this seam here. That was extra bonus because we just had leftover epoxy from one of the mixes, so we did that too. The magic, it's the next day. And we get to do my nice morning ritual of pulling peel ply. So, let's see what we can get here. All right, so that came out very well. This is never getting lifted off by wind again. We haven't even done the outside, but this is never going anywhere now. Let me show you what we're attempting to do here. Is there's these little cutouts that are already cut that we think are supposed to match up with these black portions of the window here, and we want to make sure that they actually match up because these were cut without these being around. And so the next thing we need to do is to block these up to raise this up to this level. And same thing over here, these two, and raise them all up so we can get an idea if things are lining up to those holes or if they're off and we have to cut new ones into the foam. Because obviously we're not cutting the windows, we're cutting the foam to match the windows. All right, so we discovered a problem. And the problem is the company that cut these panels is Goyo, and the company that cut the foam is Advanced Material Solutions, and one of them is in South Africa, and the other one is in France. And the two of them did not cut everything the same. So what does that mean for us, since the acrylic doesn't match the foam? So the acrylic from Goyo and the foam from Advanced Material Solutions. Foam is much easier to fix. And so all they did is pre-cut some little corners, and we were going to have to connect those corners and cut those panels out, but we're no longer going to be doing that. Instead, we're going to be taking the actual acrylic, putting it there, getting marks as to where the acrylic says the window should be, and cutting those holes out based on the acrylic. We just can't use the pre-trimmed corners. Now, fortunately, they didn't pre-trim the corners across the whole front anyway, so we don't have to fix those. But the ones down the sides, we're going to have to fix. So most likely, we'll have to fill those little slices they put in with epoxy and cut all new ones. So that's all there is to that. So what does that mean in time for us? Well, that's probably going to add, I don't know, a couple days worth of work to fix this issue. not the hardest thing in the world to fix. It's just cutting foam. The acrylics are all going to be fine for the most part. It looks like we might have to trim one of the acrylics, take it to a acrylic place and have them cut off maybe this much in a strip off one or a couple of the panels. So there might be a couple things we have to do, but not too bad. It'll all work in the end. It's just got to jump through some different hoops than I expected today, which is not all that different than every day we work. We always seem to be doing custom work on stuff. So we ran into those issues I mentioned with working on the windows, and I have to ask Schoening a bunch of questions before we can proceed on that. So instead, we got the bench seat at the back of the boat out right here, and we're going to start making the cupboards into here. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put a bevel on this outer edge, which is what the edge of the seat where you're sitting on it. And even though we're going to cut hatches out of it, it'll be easier to put the bevel on first and then do the cutting of the hatches out second. So we're going to do that right now. When we cut these hatches out, we'll core the insides of those. But this is where you sit, so I want a rounded edge here. But I'm thinking about whether I want this sharp edge here. I don't think I do. But I don't want this much of a bevel, so I think I'm going to put a very slight bevel on the bottom.
Does it matter how much bevel it is if you're going to put like a cushion on it?
No, but if the cushion wasn't here, I still want it to be comfortable to sit on.
Okay.
So, and also want to be able to wrap fiberglass around here, and it won't go around a 90-degree turn. So by putting bevels on both sides, the glass will wrap around there. We got our marks here. So this is the parts we're leaving on here. So we want to cut these hatches out along here like this. So to do the back, we have to do some plunge cuts, and then we'll turn it around and come from the side and come in.
So despite the rain, we did get a lot of work done this week. We worked on the rain catchment system, some more on that, and we got the stern cupboard doors built.
Yeah, and those were kind of last minute design change there, so that was nice to have those cupboards in there, so we like that. But our main thing was to get started on this cabin top roof, and we got this whole salon area really far along with all glued down and all tabbed in. So this roof is here to stay from here on out. But we still got next week to do the cockpit and get it to the same point as the salon area is. But we also got something exciting in. You saw our Brunton props come in. Those are the EcoStar props and auto props. And we are so excited about those things because they are designed for exactly what we are, which is a hybrid boat with electric motors and diesels. And because of that, those props are excellent. And we'll show you a lot more about them and when we get to see trials and stuff, but and how we install them and all that good stuff in the future. But we also kind of got started at the very end on the back bench. And so we're going to be doing the same kind of work we did on the L-shaped table bench and putting in 4 cupboards for that as well. And we'll get to that next week. But thank you for spending time with us this week. And we appreciate you all stopping by and watching. And we also appreciate all of our patrons who help us so much every week.
Yes, thank you all so much for joining us.
Train going by.
Quick train. And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click on the bell icon to be notified of our next video.
See, even the Admiral can't control trains. But yeah, we're going to see you next week for even more boat work on SV Lynx. See you then.
Bye.